Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my brother-in-law see my son after causing me to miss his birth? I'm in 30s, got a few close friends from college that I hang out with, including my brother-in-law, sister's husband, Austin. My wife and I are expecting our first baby, and because this was our first, we struggled with understanding things like whether my wife was going into labor or just dealing with pain/soreness. We ended up in the hospital for nothing since she was due in July. Therefore, I've limited my time out with the guys, especially in the evening/nighttime. I've skipped meetings with them to stay home by my wife's side ready for any emergencies. This made my friends upset, as they haven't seen much of me in a while. I explained my situation, but they gave me crap about it every time, especially Austin, who kept pressuring me into going out for a few beers saying he was in my shoes twice and has experience. He said that XYZ signs, can't say it here, mean my wife would soon be in labor and advised me to relax. One night, I caved into going to his farm since his birthday was days prior, and I missed it because my wife got sick. He wasn't happy and whined about it. My wife was with my in-laws and I wanted to call her, but I couldn't find my phone. I put it on the counter but it wasn't there. I borrowed one of their phones after an hour or so of search to call my wife, and her sister picked up asking where I was. I was in dismay when she said she was at a hospital with my wife because her water broke and she went into labor. I couldn't explain, so I just drove to the hospital ASAP but was met with my father-in-law berating me for ignoring his text and 18 missed calls. Then I wasn't allowed in the delivery room because my wife screamed at me to stay out. I felt awful as I waited outside while my in-laws berated me for my neglect, even when I said I lost my phone. Then Chris said Austin hid my phone after seeing father-in-law's text to get back at me for missing his birthday. I blew up at Austin calling him an SOB for doing this. He said Chris was a liar and swore he didn't see any text or calls and that he just hid it as a joke to scare me a bit. I left after this and haven't seen him in days. The guys got involved begging me to make things right with Austin who didn't know, otherwise he would have told me. So it was misunderstanding and my wife bears the blame for not letting me into the room. But can I blame her? I still refuse to see him. And now my sister said I should let Uncle Austin see little Timmy because he's longing to meet him as family, and even cried and said I was being unfair to him and all those years of friendship we had. But I said no, I won't let him meet my son after this. Chris said Austin bragged about it later on. Then Chris decided to tell me because he thought it was wrong that I get blamed by my in-laws. Edited to add, I'm sorry for not responding, but I was very busy. And to make few things clear. 1. None of my family said anything about not allowing Austin to see my son except my sister and my friends. 2. Chris is one of the guys who were there that night. He and Austin aren't very close, and Austin thinks Chris hates him for no reason and doesn't like having him around much. But just for the group's sake, Austin tries to keep the peace. But in my opinion, Chris is a decent guy. 3. My in-laws are upset with me as well as my wife, and say that even though Austin was at fault, I too for being reckless and irresponsible. Now for the top comments. Not they Hall. You need new adult friends. Nothing funny about what they did. I personally find that unforgivable. This times 1 million. OP, you need to find friends that add to you and your family's lives, not this selfish brat. I would never forgive this guy. He would be dead to me forever. Hopefully your wife understands what he did to both you and joins you in banning him. Not they Hall. You deliberately hid your phone so you missed your child's birth. That is the type of person you don't want around your child. Yeah. What if it had been something life-threatening for Opie's wife/child? He's not even sorry. He bragged about it. Not the a-hole. Everyone sucks here except your wife. Others are letting you off the hook, but you too are an a-hole. You're a 30s male, and you allowed peer pressure to force you to hang out? Yes, he stole your phone and that makes him the biggest a-hole for him deliberately pulling his crap. But you as a grown man who should be keeping better tabs on your stuff. And you as an adult need to learn to put your foot down. But I guess this was a learning experience for you. I agree Opie's not off the hook. Brother-in-law may have hidden the phone, but Opie is an adult. Grow a backbone. Keep track of your stuff. Opie decided to go drink with friends when his wife was full term. The newest phone was missing for over an hour before borrowing a phone to call in? That's his own actions there. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for excluding my brother from the family vacation after I almost caused my daughter to get hurt? Me, 35 female, and my brother, 30 male, are very close, and we always have been. He has been coming over almost every day for the past couple years, and he practically lives in my house, despite him having his own apartment. I don't mind it, and neither does my husband because he helps out around the house and is great with my daughter Stella, 10 female. Every year, we go on a family vacation with me, my husband, my daughter, and my brother. I don't bring our mom and dad because they already do their own vacations around this time. It's nothing personal. This year, we were going to stay at a hotel by a beach, and I reserved suite rooms for all 4 of us. The vacation is in 1 week at this moment. Yesterday, I had to run a few errands and I needed my husband to help out with a few of them. So I asked my brother to babysit Stella while we were gone, and he agreed. I told him thank you and then was out the door. I was a little bit worried because he has never babysat Stella before. I don't usually need my husband for errands, and he is unemployed so he's always home. But I knew how great he was with her and assumed everything would be fine. After running the errands, I drove back home. And to my horror, I saw my daughter sitting in the road playing with her dolls. I stopped the car, ran out, grabbed my daughter and brought her inside. But as soon as I walked in, I saw my brother watching some movie on the couch. I screamed something along the lines of, "What the hell? You just left my daughter unsupervised in the road after I told you to babysit her. She could have gotten run over by a car or someone could have kidnapped her. You're always so great with Stella, and I gave you one job. To babysit her for a while over an hour while I run errands. Screw you. Get out of my house and you were excluded from the family vacation." He stared at me with wide eyes and said something like, "I didn't mean to. I just got so into the movie and I thought Stella would be okay. And at least she didn't get ran over/kidnapped. And afterwards, he started begging for me to let him go on the vacation still, saying he never gets to do anything nice, and it would be cruel to exclude him from one little mishap. He called me a major a-hole. He asked some of my friends about it, and most of them said, although what he did was wrong, he said sorry and it was just a mistake, and I should stop being such an a-hole. None of them have kids though. Anyways, am I the a-hole? Extra information edit. Stella can be slow and sometimes acts way younger than she is, and she has gotten into dangerous situations before. We haven't brought a doctor into this situation because we assumed she'd grow out of it. Anyways, I thought it'd be safer to have her be babysat due to us noticing this. Probably should have mentioned this. Changed vote below. Was everyone sucks here? He should have been more attentive. But your child is 10. That's plenty old enough to know to not go sit in the road. If he has never watched her before, he may have assumed, usually rightly, that the child is relatively self-sufficient for a bit and would reach out if anything was needed. You have a right to be angry. But your child also holds some blame here, and if this is typical of your child, you should have prepped him for babysitting better, and her better for her own decisions and safety. After you read it, it's definitely you're the a-hole. 1. Seek professional evaluations for your daughter. I'm also assuming she's in school. Have no teachers brought up concerns? 2. Ensure all those responsible for your daughter know to be very vigilant, and are aware of her delays/impairments. They homeschool her, so no one else has been able to notice her delays. This is so messed up. That girl's never been to a doctor? She needs an evaluation, and probably special schooling OP can't or isn't providing. Not everyone should be homeschooled, especially not when used to keep her from treatment, a diagnosis she clearly needs. Info. Why was your 10-year-old sitting in the road? At 10, I was responsible for my younger siblings and helping them cross the roads and be safe. I even went up to London with my younger sister and our own. Unless your daughter is significantly disabled, your brother had every right to assume that she'd be safe enough for him to relax and not worry about her too much. You're the a-hole, unless there's disability that you haven't mentioned in the post. Editing to add. Major, you're the a-hole here. Your daughter may have a disability, but you haven't bothered seeking the help of professionals and you didn't bother letting your brother know? At 10 years old, there's every expectation of her being able to be fairly unsupervised for a period of time. If she needs more supervision than the average 10 years old, you must tell people if you ask them to babysit. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for only allowing my friend and her son to move in with me and not her husband? My friend Claire, 33, and I, 35, have been close for years. Went to same school, worked same job, and she's like a sister I never had. However, her now husband Thomas and I just never got on. It wasn't blatant, but she tried to get Claire and I to stop hanging out together. The reason was he wanted her to move away from a job opportunity, but she didn't because of me saying she wanted to be near me. Thomas resented me. Days prior to their wedding, he accused me of taking the gold bracelet he got for Claire and lied about seeing it with me. This started a huge conflict, and Claire and I ended up not talking and me being dropping out of the wedding as the maid of honor. We drifted apart since then, but over a year later, Claire reached out and apologized, telling me she was pregnant and that she wanted me to be part of her baby's life as auntie. We had therapy together and things got better. I still don't talk to Thomas nor see him, and Claire respected my wish to stay in no contact with him. Lately, Claire has been struggling with money. She has debts and could no longer pay her mortgage. She asked if she, Thomas, and their 7-month-old baby could move in with me till they find money to rent an apartment. I agreed to let her and her son move in, but not Thomas, given that I'm not on good terms with him after what happened in the past. Claire thought it wasn't right, so I suggested a friend to take them all in. But she said she asked me specifically because I was closer to her than the others. She said it wasn't right to keep her son from his dad, and since she needed help with the baby, then I should consider it. This is what made me think I was wrong for not letting her husband move in. She's clearly overwhelmed and needs help, but I just couldn't bring myself to see him in my house. I would feel very uncomfortable. She said she could make him apologize, but I felt like I was being cornered and pressured into letting him move in. I gave my final decision, which was a no, that Thomas can't move in. We had an argument, and she got emotional about it. Now, our mutual friend said I could suck it up for a month and be patient with Claire since she's a new mom dealing with PPD and naturally wants her partner to be with her. I still said Thomas isn't allowed in my home, but I got called resentful for being hung up on the past instead of helping out. Now for the comments. Not today, Hall. There is no way in hell I would allow someone who accused me of stealing to live in my home. Who knows what he would say if he started feeling threatened by you again. Nope, nope, nope. Anyone who accuses me of stealing anything but their heart is never welcome in my house. Not today, Hall. You're not obligated to host people who have intentionally wronged you. She knows he's the reason your friendship took a huge hit, and that it's something he lied about to manipulate her. She should be evaluating stuff with him. Your friend needs a place to stay, as does her son-did partner. You offered a place for her and her son, but you can't trust your partner because of his actions and complete lack of remorse for how it's affecting you both. Only a-hole here is the partner for his previous actions. Your friend and you are not a-holes for this. She's asked and you gave your answer. If your mutual friend is happy for you to suck it up and let him move in, then maybe they should be offering a place for all three of them. This, totally agreed. Opie not a-hole. Husband sounds like the kind of person who, if you allowed him to move in, would 1. Act like the house is his own. 2. Steer crap up between you and your friend. You can't maintain a close friendship with a married mother and permanently exclude her husband/baby daddy from your life. That's just never going to work. This friendship ended the moment Claire took Thomas's side and completely ignored your lifelong friendship and logic/reason regarding the bracelet. Claire knows this. You know this. And you're just kidding yourself trying to make this work now. Claire is on her own. She chose Thomas over you, and actions have consequences. I know she is stressed, feels alone, is overwhelmed, etc., but she dug this hole and now she has to live in it. And realistically, the only way you and her will ever have a chance of rekindling your friendship is if Thomas and Claire divorce. Since that is likely not to happen anytime soon, it's probably best if you both go your separate ways. Not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for calling my parents terrible parents during a family argument? Some quick background to get us started. I'm 5 years older than my sister, and my parents sucked at adding to the family. They told me mom was pregnant the day I was going to my aunt's for the weekend, and they explained it to me that baby was going to be the most important person in the family. How it got to be the most important person for 5 whole years, and before that, mom and dad were that for each other. But now she was coming. I was devastated. I pretty much assumed I would be replaced totally. It is not all that far from what happened. They let the ball drop with me, and were not as attentive as they used to be, nowhere even close. They missed a lot and it took years for it to feel like they cared again. When I was 18, I moved out and soon after I found out they had been approved to be foster parents. I wasn't told about any of this until it was a done deal basically. I knew it was a terrible idea, but my sister had gone along, and so had some other family and friends. Except my aunt who was vocal about not being sure how good of an idea it was, given how poorly they handled adding a second child to the family. The foster daughter arrived, and it was a very big change for my sister. Suddenly, she was ignored. She felt unwanted, and had such a hard time coming to terms with how distant our parents became after 13 years of being the center of attention. Their foster daughter was 11, and I do feel bad she was thrown into the mess because she had no stability before from what I was told, and was pretty much always unwanted. What ended happening was a couple of months ago. The caseworker called and my sister exploded and said how horrible things were. Things unraveled, and their foster daughter was removed from the home. My sister went to live with me. She's 16, and my parents are furious with her, but our aunt has her back this as well as me. Now on to the reason for the post. I was at my aunt's with my sister, and my parents showed up to argue it out. They turned on my sister and aunt for having their foster daughter removed and saying how selfish and heartless she was. I cut them off and told them it wasn't her fault. It was theirs. And if they weren't such terrible parents, none of this would have happened. They said I'm supposed to be grown now, and it was a childish comeback. But an a-hole moved to throw out the way I did. Are they right? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It sounds like they had it coming for a long time, and I am astounded you or your sister haven't snapped before this. I'm so sorry that you had to experience that kind of childhood. Neglect comes in all shapes and sizes. Edit. I should also point out that it is a good thing that girl was removed from their custody. She needed a stable home, not to be used as a shiny new child for them when they apparently got bored of your sister. Not the a-hole. That's child neglect, and it's the main reason the people from foster care took her away. I don't know what's wrong with your parents. If they're incapable to raise more than one kid at a time, then why would you even have more? Hope you and your sister are doing alright, Obi. She's doing better than she was. I'm used to it by now. I got 5 years. Yes, I was supposed to get 18 years worth of parenting in 5.